We are live. Welcome everybody to the damn show, the Digital Art Market Show. I am Roger Dickerman, or RD, and I'm here already. We have a packed show. 3 guests.
Oh
Aleqth,
wow.
Selkie, Ed Balloon. Here first with Aleqth. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, Roger. I'm doing really good. Uh, it's been a really fun weekend, really interesting time. I see you have the shirt on, the gallery show shirt.
I came
Um,
prepared.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. What about you?
I'm feeling great. I was there personally on opening night, and I was excited to talk to you today on the heels of that because I had a chance to see you in your element. And you really, I mean, we'll talk about all this, but you were making changes up until the last minute. You really had a grasp on how you wanted people to walk through your show. I think that came through. It very much resonated with me. Found myself lingering around the show for longer than I planned on staying, just soaking it all in. And so, of course, I want to get to all those components. But how was your weekend? Are you still in it?
I'm still in it. I think I've just been processing the moment and the importance, the significance of it all for me in my life, and also just like for my friends that have and my supporters that have seen me on this journey. I feel like it's just like a monumental shift in like career artistry, just like even how I just express myself. And I spent the weekend with my family, and they were really excited to see the artworks, and I was just really explaining to them how grateful I am because they kind of encouraged me throughout the process, throughout my journey. At first they were kind of like, "Are you sure you want to do this? This is like, what about being like a writer or a doctor?" And I was like, "No, this is what I decided to do." And for my friends and my family to just show so much support to me this weekend, it's just been incredible.
I love to hear it. So, did your family come through the show?
Yeah, they came to the show. My youngest brother came, and my mom and dad came. And my youngest brother, he's an artist himself. He's 16. He's so talented. He loves clothes. He like draws on clothes all the time. He wears clothes from like when I used to make clothes for Cope. Like he always wears that stuff, and he adds his own touch to them, and like uses fabric markers and stuff. And for him seeing all that imagery, I guess it was inspirational to him. And I also found out that he takes sections of my artwork and he like reinterprets them in his designs. So it's just like it's really cool, and I think it really had a good effect on him to show him like this is possible if you want to do it, or anything you want to do. Like seeing that many artworks. I guess you're 16 years old, and like that's your older brother. I'm hoping that it makes him feel like inspired, and I'm pretty sure it
How could it not, right? I mean, if I
did.
was 16 years old and looking at my older brother doing something in New York City to that level, it's a big deal, man. And by the way, I don't know if you can hear this, but this building, which I think everyone has learned now is the Severance building where that show was shot, but there's literally a
Oh
fire
no!
drill going on right now. I think we're fine. I
A
think we're fine.
fire?
Can you no fire? Well, like the lights and the sirens. Can you hear that, or is my mic doing
No,
a
I
good enough
can't.
job?
Actually, what's really good about the AirPod designs, the AirPod design is like whenever there's an alarm or like a siren going off, I won't hear it. I think it kind of like blocks it out. If I'm correct, I think that's what it does once you have those AirPods
Thankfully, our technology is supporting us across the board. So
in.
listen, Alex, I've got all sorts of pictures queued up. We have to show people. I have a couple specific aspects of this show I want to go over with you, and of course, the artwork in it. But real quick, just as people file in here. And by the way, hi everybody. Thank you for coming. Vinny Hager, of course, the great Vinny Hager says gallery show, all
Vinny,
caps. Deconstruct is
legend,
in the house
that's
here.
brother right there.
Deconstruct says he can, in fact, hear the announcement in the background. Sorry about that. I'll keep myself on mute.
Oh, I
Tara and
can't
Abstract.
hear it. That's interesting. I guess they can, but I can't. So I'm not sure what that is.
John New in the house, all caps, gallery show. I think that is the comment of the show. Abrahani in the house as well. So listen, Alec, I want to show all these pictures, but before we do that, just for people tuning in who might not be as familiar with you or your art, just take a quick step back. Can you give us a TLDR? Who are you, and what is the journey that leads you up to the show that we're gonna show some amazing visuals in just a second?
Right. Well, I'm Alex. I go by Alex. Alex with a lisp. Um, I'm a world builder, artist, you know, image maker. Just I don't know. It's I've been over the course of a few years, past few years, been trying to figure out like the term that kind of defines me, and I think like my artist name kind of like does it all. But I I, I like to expand on like worlds underneath symbols and imagery, and to kind of just like share share those worlds with people and co-create worlds with people underneath symbols and imagery, and looking back into the past and also into the future. I also make music. um, Kind of got my hands in a lot of different things, but ultimately I just like to create things that I want to see, that I feel like people haven't seen before, and if they have, they're just seeing it in a different way.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting statement there. If they have seeing it in a different way, because I think that's a huge component of the show that we're about to show people. And so let's do that. Instead of me just constantly teasing you, let's get this screen shared and bring people into your world.
Awesome. I'm excited.
All right, there you are. So the first thing, you put together some solid footage, and this footage was running literally within the gallery show on the top floor of Super Rare on that back wall. It was projected, and I thought it gave it an interesting component. Like right when someone walked in, they were already looking at you, they were looking at your process. Talk about that aspect. Give people the same preface on the show. They've now just walked in. They're looking at you. What did that footage mean to you?
That footage was put together primarily by my good friend and roommate Shagun. He's a filmmaker, Shagun Oyetunde. He's he has a good way of like capturing the essence of like a moment. And when we were talking about just getting the footage together, this is a new element of just kind of just like my showcasing of just my process and my world in real life, because most people don't really get to see me and what I am like in my environment for creating, and like what my thought processes are. So him being there was like and taking this footage, it was powerful because he knows me as a friend, and I explained to him that I wanted to show people who I really am and not just the images and the artworks, So that being captured and like put out there online, it's like the first time that's happening. But to put it in a gallery was almost like a last the final moment decision to kind of just like create like a sort of meta experience where on the small screen TV was Speed Racer, one of my favorite cartoons growing up, and then behind that it's like me in present day. And then if somebody saw that and they went down into the gallery, they would then see me with all these paintings. But then there's a Speed Racer painting, trying to kind of like create a sort of environment in which somebody could maybe hear an experience where this was all coming from. But But yeah, I think on opening night, it's hard for me to kind of like communicate to somebody like what the show is about and like more about the artwork specifically because there's so much motion happening. But in that room, I think people were able to hear some more about uh, what I do in my work and what this show means.
When did it all begin with Super Rare? When did this process start?
I've been I've been developing a relationship with Super Rare, primarily like the team. You know, like for years now. I mean, I guess I've just been popping into New York, and I would meet some of the team members, and over the years, I guess they've seen me like develop my craft. Or specifically, Anne Loremi, the curator for the show, she's a collector of my work. She bought the SpongeBob painting I did like years ago when I first started really getting into painting, and she's seen me work throughout the years. But when she saw that I was painting again, she became really interested in the new style that I had like come up on, and she saw that I was kind of being consistent about the, the output and this new stylistic language, and she wondered what my intentions were. And I was like, right now I'm just painting, but it would be nice to maybe showcase these one day. And she was like, well, we should do it, you know. And when she said that, I was like really excited, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like in a way full circle and also dream come true. But it's funny when you're just painting, creating the artworks, you're like you're so immersed in just the process itself. But when you know that you have a show coming, it's like something something in you kind of goes into overdrive, and you're like, well, it's not just about the paintings anymore. This is like creating like a moment, the context for these artworks to be experienced. So I kind of just started thinking about that and started to ideate on how I wanted these, how I wanted people to feel, you know, how I wanted people to feel walking in, seeing the artworks and experiencing them, you know.
Let's take a look at it now. So people have gotten a tease on the footage, but now, so here are the shots from Super Rare side, which just look incredible. So this is the main room and the downstairs, and one of the things right away that jumped out at me personally
Mhm.
was, and many people, was the verticality. That,
Oh
by
yeah,
extension of having 200 paintings in this gallery, you were able to go up. And this
yeah,
room has, really nice large ceilings, and you took full advantage of that. And so immediately, I think people were maybe more immersed than otherwise. Talk about that decision.
yeah. Talking to Anne and Mika about the display of it all, the install, it was really interesting because we had gone through like numerous iterations of like what this could be, but ultimately we came to the conclusion that we wanted it to feel true to the digital experience that people had in seeing these artworks, whether that be on like Instagram or me posting it, on X, but primarily through Instagram, I was using that format as a sort of gallery in itself. The grid is like a very digital format, and we just wanted to kind of take that format and put it into real life to kind of like echo the experience of seeing it online, but this is the version of it offline, which is funny because that's what the name of the gallery is. So it would, we just thought it would be interesting to kind of like almost airdrop the appearance, the image, the texture of like seeing it on your screen. And I think it really works because it kind of it stays true to there's a certain like aspect ratio or like just a format in general that I feel like these works are made to be seen in because they're all 16 by 20. That sense of uniformity. I think stacking them up, layering them in this way, it kind of activates the viewership almost. You know.
I think it really did. And speak to another decision made. So you mentioned offline gallery, right? That's the name of Super Rare's gallery.
Yeah.
You literally took offline because these are the prep shots. These are the stage shots prior to the show opening. Now,
Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the last minute decisions you made was to take this frame offline. And by the
Mhm.
time we all walked in, it was showing only static. And I thought
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
really interesting call relative to your work.
Yeah. I had this. Yeah. I'm the type of person in the last moments of something, like everything just becomes crystal clear. And the night before the show, I was working already on like and already finished like this kind of long form like video, kind of this new AI style and video process that I've come across. But I realized like one of the considerations that we had for the placement of this screen was to kind of give the viewer a sort of break and a moment of reprieve as they were inundated with all this imagery. And I kind of just was thinking like, what's the most sort of direct way to do that? And I started thinking about the moment in which all these people would probably be on the floor. I realized like it would be interesting to kind of bring something that's inherently like an analog visual into like a digital environment. And in the mid in the midst of all this imagery, somebody could go in front of the screen and kind of just like see the static, the noise, and either like think about it as the summation of all the artworks at once, or void of any message entirely, but still kind of communicating that there was the potential for something to emanate. This idea of a sort of negative space, you know, them impressing upon the noise, the static, their impression of what this show is about or what they're seeing. It kind of is like an attempt to kind of have them reflect internally, but then also have have a refresh, like a palette cleanser, and looking at the static on the screen, and then looking at the imagery again, and then continuing on the journey of going around. So that occurred to me the night before, and so was like the Elmo and the Cookie Monster idea, you know. But that's something else. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure. But
Well,
yeah,
we're gonna get to Elmo and Cookie Monster, but while we're on this concept of you use the word emanating, right? And there was something else emanating, and that was fog. So another decision, you had
yeah,
static on this screen, and then there was
yeah,
also some fog being pumped into the room, which sort of added and heightened that experience.
yeah. Honestly, my experience in like now having a show in New York City, there's this sort of added pressure. I'm a frequenter of like art shows, and the really good ones, the ones that stick out to me, kind of leave like an impression outside of the artworks themselves. It's like creating this atmosphere. I try to have these sort of variables that kind of like um, intermingle and like kind of like interact with each other. So the static was one thing, and then I thought like it would be interesting to kind of create like to put the fog there because it creates a sort of filter and this sort of like thing to kind of unify everybody in the space where they're all experiencing fog, even if they were like individually looking at different artwork. But it also brings the viewer in because once that fog is there, they have to get a bit closer. So once they have to get a bit closer to the artwork, that kind of already it shifts the dynamic of like what a show is, and this is kind of my pitch for like a radical approach to like what a gallery show, quote unquote, is. Like maybe we can kind of be a bit more performative. I saw it as like a performance art gesture. A lot of these considerations that I had in the last moment kind of were that. And I had watched the Maurizio Catalan documentary literally the night before. My friend Shagun showed me. Shagun, he filmed the footage with me, and I was like, you know what? I understand that the artwork, the show is more about the individual artworks. It's like the atmosphere, the spectacle that you can create, that moments that people remember. It's the opening ceremony, it's the opening night. You know, what are people gonna walk away with outside of remembering? Oh, I like that painting. You know, so that was my attempt at like kind of curating that. And it was so funny when I told the team that I wanted to do this. They were like, "Oh my gosh!" Not only did he want to put the 200 paintings up, but no, all this, but they were super cool and down with doing all of that, which I'm like so grateful for. They're really like open minded and kind of punk. You know, Josh and Ann, they're like, okay, what's the crazy idea? Like, at first I'd be like nervous to tell them, like, okay, guys, I have this other idea. And they're like, okay, what is it? But then they'd hear me out and be like, you know what? I could see how that could work. And maybe we could do it like this, you know, and they'd have input. So that was really refreshing.
I love to hear it. And actually, Josh is in here with us. What's up, Josh? He says, "Go big," all caps. We
Go
love to see it.
big.
Go
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Also, F dot in here. Hi, F dot. Brian Brinkman
What's
says, "Stacked
up?
lineup today." Big OG in the house. Good crew, Alex.
Oh
That's
my
for you, my
gosh.
friend. Another interesting aspect of the fog. I don't know if you thought about it this way, but certainly how I experienced it from a viewer perspective. First, when it was pumped in, I was like, "What's going on? Like,
Yeah.
what's?" I was like, "What's happening?" I was like, I was like, "Are we smoking in the back room? Like, what
Oh
is
my
happening right now?"
gosh.
And
Oh
then I
my
realized,
gosh. It's
okay,
so
no, it's a
funny.
fog machine, right? And
Yeah.
so that was an interesting component. And I think it achieved that effect of, okay, now it's starting to impede our vision. Like you said, you have to get a bit closer.
Right.
But what happened throughout the show is it started to dissipate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right.
And as it dissipated, the view of each painting got clearer.
Right.
And so it gave me, I mentioned I lingered, right? I stuck around longer than I anticipated. I think that was part of it. So weirdly, when the fog was in the room, I had to get closer. But then when the fog left, I wanted to get closer again because I was
Ah,
noticing, let's say, details that I had missed before. So I thought that was an interesting layer too.
that's really interesting. You know, it's so funny. With art and just like any sort of expression, inherently there's this sort of butterfly effect as far as what my intentions were as the creator and like your direct experience, you know, as the viewer. You're co-creating. So what your experience is like an artwork that you almost like created entirely in your experience that maybe I just kicked the first domino and then your perspective, your interpretation of it kind of filled in the rest of the blanks, you know. And I love that. I love that experience, that function in art entirely. And I'm trying to actively dial in on like more ways to evoke that that sentiment.
Another interesting aspect of the show and the 200 works in the show is the creative process. And so my understanding is it was both long and short, meaning it was a long period of time that created all 200 of these works, but there was a significant portion of those that were created in a burst of inspiration. Can you talk through that aspect?
Yeah, for sure. So, um, in March, I had started painting again, and that was at first I was kind of like nervous because I hadn't touched a paintbrush or done any paintings in like a year and a half, almost 2 years. When I had a studio in Bushwick a couple years ago, I had just been like traveling so much and like Los Angeles a bit. Florida for a bit without a studio. So getting back in front of the easel, at first I was kind of nervous, but then I got into the flow, like almost like right after that. It's like all this energy, almost like physically packed into my muscles and in the back of my like brain and spine, just kind of like flowing. It was like, oh my gosh, yes, like this is what I need the whole time because for a whole year and a half, most of my work had been either like me messing around with generative art or some code based thing or just like conceptual stuff entirely, So um, it was just refreshing to like get my hands dirty again. And when I just would make some paintings and like share them, and like I got into this flow state, and people were really receptive to it. And I noticed that my style had just radically shifted. And right before I had stopped painting, I had gotten some critique from two painters that I really respect, and they were like, "We see what you're trying to do, but you need to kind of like, in a sense, reduce." Because I would try to put so many elements onto one canvas, but then they were like, if you could kind of like make it stronger through like honing in on the composition, like making it like a singular point, and and at the time I was like, oh my gosh, guys, like you're killing me, like how could you, like I have all these paintings, but you know what, they were right. And I noticed that in me taking their advice, I was able to paint almost faster because I was focusing singularly on like a moment or a vision, just like a flash, like a dream. And then once I did that, I would work on like multiple at the same time and using colors from one canvas onto another, developing this process where I could work on multiple paintings in a day. So for 5 months, I made 100 or so paintings. And then I thought, I was like, wow, like this is a lot, and I've been painting so much. People were like, this is great. You're like posting your painting every day. But then when the announcement for the show came, like when September 1st came and we were set to announce, I was like, I had one of those ideas again. I was like, I kind of want to do another 100, like for Cope Volume 1, I had 200 pages. I kind of felt uncomfortable, like just showing 100 paintings that I've done after a month of not painting because I didn't paint in all of August. I kind of stopped in July, and the announcement for the show was in September. I was like, I kind of just want to like bring my best foot forward, like where I am right now into the show, like in the most like just keep it as contemporary personally as possible. So I realized I was like, I want to create the challenge of saying publicly that I'm gonna make 100 paintings in a week and doing it and having the experience of people coming to the show and then seeing after seeing it online that I was working on this, seeing it in person, like the results, Um, so I just spent that week kind of just making all those paintings, and it was it was so interesting. I kind of like dissolved into it, and I look back now. I'm like, what happened? I kind of uh, I don't know. Rarely I enter into these like zones and like headspaces that I just become so immersed in the process. Oftentimes, I look back at some of the artworks and I'm like, I almost don't even remember painting this. I feel it. I feel the character in there, like the emotions, but I must have been in like a completely different headspace. But yeah,
Take us if you can take us into that week. I mean, how does that look in pure Alex flow state? Right? Are you sleeping? Are you staying up at all hours? Like, how many
yeah.
hours a day are you painting during that week?
Honestly, Roger, I was painting Okay, so I'll break it down this way. So I wake up around like 11 a.m., get some food, and then mock up images on Photoshop, and that brings me to now maybe like 12:30 or 1 p.m. And then I would just paint from like 1 p.m. to like basically like 5 a.m. like the next day. But I'd give myself like 2 hour breaks during that first week. A lot of galleries were opening up in New York, so I would just like go out, see some art for like an hour or two, covered in paint. My hands are like covered in paint, and then like run back to the studio, run back to my bedroom, and start painting again. And just eating Little Caesars and like just sometimes just drinking like Red Bull and stuff, and just like
Some of these icons made their way into paintings. You
yeah,
said Little Caesars, if someone's at a computer and maybe zoomed in here, bottom row, three from the right, there's Little Caesar.
yeah. I was eating so much Little Caesars. It was crazy. My friend took a photo of me. I had like boxes on boxes, and it kind of just I just was in a state of like just eating to just continue.
Mhm.
I could have cared less what I was eating. I was just like, well, this is like base level, like tastes good enough, and like makes me not hungry. Um, I was just really, I kind of get like, I really get lost in it, you know, like the whole vibe of it all, and even socially, I kind of couldn't really talk much to anybody. But it's weird. It's like as kind of crazy as it all sounds, like I was still having so much fun. It felt so good. Um, it felt like so liberating. It's interesting. So many like points in my life where from the outside it would look like I was at a low point or like going crazy. It was like I was so present in my creative process that it kind of made me feel a lot better. Like, yeah, I remember like kind of just like even last year around this time I was kind of like I was on the streets of LA, and it was like I would like shower at the gym and like go to the library and work at the library and all my ankle project the whole time. And I got to a point where I'd like be able to afford a car that I could rent and sleep in. And I remember feeling like so ingrained in like my creative process, and that no one could take that from me. Life has a weird way of bringing you so close to the moment, close to your state of like creation, that it almost drowns out the noise. But I always have to remember, take care of myself in those moments. Yeah. So like shower, eat, sleep. But now that all of that's kind of mostly done for now, I mean, definitely gonna be eating a little less Little Caesars right now.
With the 200, were you done when you were done? Meaning you removed from the creative process, it just felt like it had come to a conclusion and you were ready to move on, or were you done at 200? Right, I had this burst of inspiration, I need to hit this number, and then you get to the number and you know that it's over after 200.
I actually painted more than 200, and
Okay, so
there's a good amount that didn't make it into the final collection, the cutoff number, and it was so hard for me to like select which ones made it in and which ones didn't. And I know that the team, you know, they, I kind of put them through hell a little bit and like saying, okay, like guys, like let's put this one in instead. Let's swap this one out. Let's swap this one out. Let's keep this one in. Let's actually I just like added like uh I just rephotographed this painting. Like can we like use this photo? Oh, actually let's change the title. It was even when it was all done, it was still moving and happening until the very last moment. You
So
know.
they must have been relieved when the doors opened. Like,
Oh my
okay,
gosh, I'm
okay, it's all
sure,
set.
I'm sure. You know, and shout outs to Super Rare Josh because he handled most of the when were working on the catalog and kind of just like the placement and the names and the organization of like the display and like the web designs. So that was like, you know, I don't know how he did it, but like I'd be up like super late at night and I would be like, guys, Josh, if we could kind of just put this in, and he'd be like, "Yeah, sure, I'm on it." You know, that responsiveness, the communication was like very. It was immediate almost. It was really good to work in that way.
Well, he sends a heart. So he's
Oh, he
not
sends a
tired
heart.
of you yet, Alec. He's in here. It's really great to see. I think, yeah, I've had a chance. I have the honor, the privilege of seeing him create a bit with some other shows, and yeah, he's a real one.
Yeah, he is also real quick. He was at the gallery with his two sons yesterday, and that was so special to see like these children. Kind of just like his children, kind of like playing around in the gallery and like pointing to which ones they liked and stuff. That was really fun.
So good to see. So good to see. He said, "Honored to work with you, bud." Also, Pinstripe Gator is in here. Hello, PG.
Hey,
Deconstruct says, "In
PG,
the
what's up?
zone," talking about when you were immersed in your creative process. And the next Sulo also in here saying, "Great work." Uh, this shot here, big shout to Anne Laremy who helped me with this because
Yeah,
I had it fixed in my brain. So
I
one,
remember.
where does gallery show come from? Because all I wanted to do was see right next to sort of that dual artwork sort of diptych with the words on it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, honestly, it stemmed from this sort of like an inside joke that me and my friends had, where we noticed that there's like a specific art scene in New York. They're like super like young and hip, and like when people say gallery show, they kind of like it's kind of like a no one really says it, but like there's like a bit of tension in the air. I guess they feel as though gallery shows, in a sense, redundant because they're so immersed in the scene that we only just say show. So like somebody putting the word gallery in front of that, it's like, well, everybody around them is like so immersed in all this. Whatever they hear show, they only think of like a gallery show. But when somebody says gallery show, it's kind of an indicator as to, oh, they're they're kind of like an outsider in some ways. My intention with just even saying gallery show, it's entitled to this show, is to kind of like put a mirror back to them, but also reinterpret, kind of hijack that terminology as a, a sort of like a new format of expression where it would kind of serve as an invitation, called action for me personally and to people that um, are like art in general or attend gallery shows. You know, saying that out loud and like I like the idea that it does something different in everybody's head when they hear it. And I'm interested in my work is uh, to in finding these words and treating them as symbols of my my perception of like symbolism is kind of like evolving into like more archetypal frameworks, but also into just like language. And I think gallery show represents something, and I just wanted to charge that symbol and kind of, in a way, democratize the headspace of like what a gallery show was. And my vision of gallery shows in general is I see a future in which everybody is going to have a gallery show. That's going to be the new format of just like, you know, a cultural revolution in which we've witnessed musicians, like everybody's making music or everybody's like making fashion, you know. And I think right now we're approaching an era in which everybody's going to be an artist with a gallery show. And I just wanted to kind of stick my flag in it, you know, and be like gallery show, but then have it as like a sort of like an open source model of like a brand identity that we are actively co-creating. And now every time we say gallery show, there's a shared vision, a design, a frequency that we can play with. And hopefully the font that I chose and the format for this, somebody else resonates with it and it becomes a sort of transposed into gallery shows past my own.
Well, I know for the foreseeable future, anytime I personally hear gallery show, I'm thinking about you. So I think you've taken over the terminology in my brain, and I think we've waited long enough. We have to talk about Elmo and Cookie Monster, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah, Elmo and Cookie Monster. So okay, so I had this experience where I went to Times Square and I saw a movie with my friend, and I think the movie was The Long Walk. It's about like when like I won't spoil it, but basically like these young kids like walk for a long time to like save their families or something. It's really dystopian. Check it out when you get the time. I really recommend it. It's actually really interesting.
Alec,
And
that book messed with me as a kid. It was a Stephen King
oh
book. It
yeah,
was
it's a
like
Stephen King book, right? Okay,
I
so
remember reading
so you're
that book.
familiar. Okay,
Oh, absolutely.
sick. Well, the movie you should see it if you haven't yet. It's if you like the book, I think maybe the movie probably did justice. Well, so I'm in Times Square. We leave the movie, and you know when you're when you're in Times Square, you see all these like characters. You know, Spider Man, like Elmo, it's like Pikachu, everything. And I had this experience where I was like seeing them kind of take the them off, and even just their body movements in these characters, and I was like, that's something about that is gallery show. Like I was in Times Square seeing these people in like these costumes. I was like, that's gallery show. Like, you know, seeing them like take the head of the costume off and like smoke a cigarette. These sort of like expressions that are so everyday, kind of being funneled through these sort of like visual filters that and symbols that we're so familiar with. That's kind of in a way also something that I try to play with in my work, you know. So I figured that the night before, mind you, it clicked. I was like, I could do it at the gallery show. Like I could bring Times Square to the gallery show, you know. So this was kind of like my attempt at doing that. And at first, my idea was to go up to Times Square and ask some of those people to come to my show and pay them to come to my show. But then my friends were like, probably not a good idea. They're just gonna go around in your gallery and like ask people to give them money to take a
Yeah.
picture. I was like, okay, good idea. Let's just get the costumes then. And then my friends wore the costumes. Another element of surprise I just wanted to add, you know, it's like, okay, like there was the fog, there's the static with the, you know, the balloons and like all of that. This is 200 paintings. Now in comes like these, here comes Cookie Monster and Elmo in the midst of it all. And yeah, I just wanted to make it a fun experience, but also just trying to design like just really use and create the atmosphere in which these artworks were going to be experienced. You know, like really kind of trying to take a culture media and elevate it to a point where the angle of it just like not unfamiliar but very familiar at the same time. I think Elmo and Cookie Monster were probably like my first, probably some of the first stuff that I was watching on TV. And it's funny to see them. I'm so glad that they showed up. I paid for their flight and hotel to come to my show. Um, but from Sesame Street, it's actually not that bad of a rate. It's really it was inexpensive. So
It was you really just going through all the, and even just learning now. I didn't know this was also a night before decision,
oh yeah,
because by the time we all walked in, I mean, it felt you could have easily told me, hey, I've been planning this the whole time. These were the nuances I wanted installed in the show, but you were really running that creative process literally right up until door open. And I think it came through. I think we were in your world and constantly being surprised with, the static and the fog, and then here come Elmo and Cookie Monster, and it was this evolving experience that I think will continue to stay sticky. So, kudos to you for letting us in, for keeping that creative flow going up until door open and letting us into that world. I think we all walked away with a piece of that.
man, thank you so much. Like, um, yeah, for the process, it's always happening up until that moment. Me making those
Hmm.
decisions, even though it sounds like it was like right then and there that I made that decision. That was a decision in the making. Things that I've been
Yep.
ruminating on, even subconsciously, hitting my vape or something and being like, and painting at the same time and seeing the way like, oh, there's a vape cloud in front of my painting and the way it dissipates and oh wow, that these considerations during that process, and then the night before, everything just like clicks. You're like, oh, oh, of course. I love that feeling. I love that feeling. I wish I could do it earlier, get more ideas in there, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it's refreshing too. I think some people will relate to this, but I view so much work every single, I mean, literally every single day. Everyone knows I'm hours and hours a day consuming art on a digital screen. And I think the
right.
the context around the work, you don't often get that, right? Oftentimes it's on a small thumbnail or a social feed, right? The contextualization around it becomes the rails of X or the rails of the page that it's on. But then as soon as you walk in the
Yeah,
doors of this experience, like you are giving us so much more than that and presenting it to us in the way that you want it seen. And like you said, with all of those thoughts that have been building for quite some time. So I personally enjoyed that aspect a lot. And I'd love, before we hop here, I
mhm,
mean, I could talk to you for hours, man. But
yeah,
I'd love to talk about a few of the works real quick. And this is the one. So
yeah. So,
in
which
leaving,
ones are your
this was
favorite?
the
Yeah,
this stuck out. This to me is the show. Um, I saw so
right.
much of you in that room, and obviously spent a lot of time with these 200 paintings. And in the end, I ended up on that back wall, right, with this particular work, just thinking, hey, this is Alex, right? I mean, literally, it is. But I don't know. This to me was the one that I walked away thinking about, and I think shout out to Clay, right? I think Clay collected this one.
Yeah, Clay is Sonic Youth. Um, I was listening to Dirty, that Sonic Youth album. Can you?
Yeah, I can still hear you breaking up just a little bit, but I think we're okay.
Uh, I was saying, I was listening to that Sonic Youth album, and um,
Oh, we lost Alex. I mean, speaking of performance art, I mean, literally 2 minutes before the segment end, we lose him like that. It feels like it's all part of the performance. But I mean, the last thing I did want to do, so we can't get his perspective on it in the moment, but we can get mine. So this was the one, like I mentioned, on the back wall, just kept coming back to this particular work. We already talked about the gallery opening, that sort of diptych that presented the titling of the show. And then here on this page, here are all the works. But you can just get a feel for it. I mean, I think he talked a bit about it, but just his handling of all of this iconography that we're used to seeing, but presenting it with a bit of a different view, carefully arranging them. So many, loosely speaking, diptychs, triptychs, artworks that worked really, really well together. Another standout was the Bilo with the Ross in there, the Gagosian, Bull Market. I want to get to another one. Keep going here. It's funny now looking at the Super Rare page, all I can think about is where they were arranged on the walls of the gallery. Keep scrolling here and say hello to Phil Heel. Says brilliant show and curation. Appreciate you, Phil. Thanks for being here. OG says very motivating. Cannot wait to share with my 21-year-old son that has a similar drawing mind style. Well, I'll let you look on your own, but it's just well worth up. Here we go.
What's up?
He's back.
I think my computer, the Wi-Fi just went out, so I just figured I'd do this on my phone. Is this okay?
It's perfect, man. I was just saying to everybody, I thought that was part of the performance art was you were leaving us like that, that was it. But now we get to say goodbye to you in person.
That's funny. Definitely wasn't intentional. But I was saying about the Sonic Youth painting. I love that album cover that Mike Kelly did, and I just wanted to inject myself in that moment. So being able to do that, it's like really the fact that I could do that is really cool. But I also really badly wanted to do a self-portrait the whole time. But when I was in the process, like a direct self-portrait, I was just like working on all this other stuff. I just wanted to make a self-portrait. It's like that looked like a self-portrait, So, and I just wanted to participate in the imagery, the design, the moment of that Sonic Youth album cover, and just insert myself into it. And that was my way of doing that. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear.
Awesome.
So let's do this. Are you up for a quick 2-minute lightning round on the way out?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll give you an artwork, and then just give me back first line that comes to mind, and let's do like 5 together, and then I see Selkie backstage, so then we're gonna do a show transition. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Lightning round. Alex, here we go. Number 1, new employee.
Oh, Bleach, Michael Jackson, Screaming, Nirvana. I just think of like Dirty Shoes.
Let's go. Opening game.
Oh yeah, Willem de Kooning and Michelle Majerus, all in one. Rain. I think of Rain.
Old man.
Picasso, of course. I'm a Picasso fan. That's kind of like my portrait of Picasso. Like that's me painting Picasso, pretending to be Picasso.
All right, 2 more. We're down. I mean, we already did it. I'm not gonna pizza though. There is the Little Caesar that we were talking about
I was
earlier.
eating so much Little Caesars, And real quick about pizza is so he has all these cuts on him because he was stabbed 23 times. So I tried to make 23 stab wounds, and yeah, it was funny trying to come up with a title.
Pizza.
Yeah.
And let's go with shopping spree.
Oh yeah. The grid, that grid, that checkered grid, the red and white. You either think of a picnic, or just like the grid that being like matrices and like being online, layered with the Visa commerciality. It kind of I kind of just felt this energy of like e-commerce, digital expressions, quickness, uh, euphoria. What's that thing where people retail therapy? Yeah, something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Just the gratification of like uh, viewing things online and like buying things, something like that.
Last but not least, let's wrap up with something something.
This was a turning point for me, and when I was painting, I think I realized I'd come across this like a new visual language. You'll hear me talk about this more when the full interview drops. That should be coming out either today or tomorrow about this show. But Andy Warhol, as a name, as a word, as an expression itself, it kind of has the ability to recontextualize any imagery or anything that follows. And I realized he hadn't painted a hot dog. I hadn't seen any hot dog artworks of his, so I just wanted to play with his identity, his signature as an expression itself, kind of posts his artwork now. His very signature becomes uh, an update of his visual language. Now that it isn't just his anymore, his identity becomes the language. Yeah, his identity has become kind of like you put Warhol next to anything, it feels like a Warhol. So I just wanted to say, well, I could have put anything instead of this hot dog that would have been like an Andy Warhol in itself. So
Alex, man. So Alex with a lisp, Alex. We appreciate the heck out of you, man. So much to be proud of. Obviously, the show's still up now. It was amazing to see on Friday, and just while it's still raw and in the moment, appreciate you spending an hour with us today.
thank you so much, Roger, and I appreciate it. And let's hang out soon.
Let's do it. Jake Freed in the house, by the way, gives you a clap and a heart on the way out. Be well, Alex. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Roger. Peace. Thank you.
All right, Alex, everybody. We're about to welcome in the one and the only Selkie. Let's get her on stage. Here she is. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you, Roger?
Good. Good. Well, I mean, everything's going on today. We have fire alarms in the building over here. We have Alex go out and in, a bit of performance art at the tail end of the segment. So let's see if we can have a calm half hour between the two of us.
Oh, I should hope so. Fingers crossed. So I was just going to say the lovely background is actually my in-laws' house. I'm as you know, I'm on mum duty at this time of day. So I got to perch up and do things wherever I can find space. So yeah. So but it's always a pleasure to speak to you. I wanted to say congratulations to Alex. That was a beautiful exhibition. I mean, I wasn't there, but I saw it from afar, and really beautiful. And the SR team also, they all did a really great job. So congrats. And it seems like a super guy, and his art's amazing. So yeah.
We have so much to discuss on your end. I mean, in a way, there's a bit of a torch pass that's going to be going on between Alex and the Rio Art Residency, of which you are the co-architect. You also made a big announcement of your own in recent history, and I think maybe that's the place to start, and then we'll do a transition over to Rio Art Residency. But please tell us what you've been up to, and in your own words, the announcement you made.
Yes, indeed, it's probably bigger than people realize, because it's a really big life change for me. I've been in this space since 2022, as I've talked about several times, and I joined with no expectations. My only expectation was to figure out what it was all about, and what I could do within the space, and I just kept doing and doing and thinking and learning. It was a very steep but very enjoyable learning curve. And and then the residency came about, the idea, the execution, and it's happened twice now. And at some point along the way, it was April this year, I decided, well, before April, but April when it actually happened, I quit my 9 to 5, and I worked in PR and political PR, opinion research. It was an interesting job, and I've done PR for a very long time, but it was just not scratching the itch anymore. And so, and everything else that I was doing was really great and was really doing something for me. And so I agonized over the decision a little bit, and I bought myself some time. It came a point after the residency when I had to make a decision to go back to a 9 to 5, or just, go all in, as I said, and just do this. And so I decided to go all in. And I realized that, I can do it, it's possible. And also gave me time to figure out a model, and also and my USP as well. What is the thing that I can do, that I feel I can do well, and that I can add value, and that I can, I said monetize sounds a little too cold, but that I can make a living off. So and it was, so I decided to, and I have to say, first and foremost, you were one of the people who kind of, we've had this conversation in private several times, and you kind of, I feel like I was always being nudged and encouraged by you, which was great. Thank you. And it came a point where in June in New York, I met Apocalypse, who is a fantastic artist, who is just a fascinating person. And I was just talking to him about how I love working with artists, and one day I hope I can do this professionally and for a living. And then he talked to me about this collection that he was going to release, which was really interesting. And we just got talking about things, and I explained to him what was it that I did and that I wanted to do. And he said, well, I would like to work with you. And I said, well, that's great. And I said, I don't usually charge artists to do that. I don't I don't feel like I'm at that place yet. And he said, no, that's nonsense. You should absolutely charge. We will absolutely pay you. And things kind of snowballed from there, and he became my first sort of the first partnership that I kind of developed in this new phase. And when I made the announcement, I had several people reach out to me, and several artists in the space reach out to me and say, oh, I'm interested, I'd like to talk to you. And this, things just really happened very quickly beyond that. Once the residency, the sort of in-person kind of part of the residency finished, it felt like it really happened very fast. And then I had 5 conversations last week, and I now have 5 more artists that I work with, and who I'm very happy about working with them. And I hope that's going to be a long-term thing. And what I offer is it really is guidance. It really is. I feel like sometimes there are artists, well, I've met a lot of artists here who have an incredible amount of talent and will to succeed, will to make a career out of their talent and their, and their expression and what they want to say and where they want to go. And sometimes, it varies from artist to artist, but some of them lack focus, some of them lack direction, some of them lack, a little bit of help and guidance and support, and, just ideas and exploration, and just understanding who they are, why they're doing this, and how they present themselves and how they should present themselves. They need to find out that by themselves. But I'm there to kind of help them kind of structure all those thoughts and all, that all of those things that they ought to be doing. They need to figure out which kind of artist they are, how they are going to move forward in their artistic career. A lot of artists I meet feel like they ought to be like this artist or that artist who's doing well. And I said, no, you have to be yourself, and you have to figure out which model works for you. You come first, your ideas, the way that you express yourself, and then you have to figure out where you fit in and how you move on from there. Or you make your own path. You don't have to fit into anyone else's mold. You have to do what's right for you, but do it in a polished, professional. This is your career after all. This is something that you're investing your time and effort into. It's your craft and your career, and it's something that a lot of them want to make a living off this. And so, there are ways to go about it where you can achieve that. And so essentially that's what I'm proposing to do. And it's only been like, well, since I've started working with Apocalypse in earnest since August. So that's been a wonderful sort of journey so far. And the other artists, it's been joyful. It's been really joyful to have these conversations, to to see the kind of light bulb moment when I say something and when I kind of sort of prod them on a little bit on something else. And it's just been, I hope that's something that I get to do for a long time. And I hope that, I help, that I can support all of these artists to kind of really focus and, build their foundations for their success, or for their establishment, or for their consistency, whatever it is that they want to achieve. This is my goal. So yeah.
You mentioned earlier the phrase steep learning curve. I think that's very appropriate for the space, as it were, and what we're all up to here. At times it can feel like it's very put together and growing and taking steps forward. At times it can feel like the absolute Wild West and a hot mess. And what I appreciate about it is, I think over the course of years, plural, and you mentioned your journey in particular here starts in 2022, and we're approaching the tail end of 2025. It's a nice chunk of time. I think we are learning these individuals who, it's a magnet here, and it's pulling them towards it, and kind of figuring out in real time these roles to play and these businesses that can be additive. And I think that process is going to go on for quite some time, and we're going to see people come in and and unfortunately maybe depart out. But I view it, someone like yourself, who I know cares an awful lot, bringing a serious career path and sort of rerouting it into the space. I think the space is better for it. And so just congratulations on taking this step. And I think I would share the sentiment with a number of artists. Wish you nothing but the best, and a healthy, many years. And Aqueous is in here saying hi, Selkie.
Hello.
And I think hand in hand with all of this, let's share a screen. And I would love to talk about one of the things you've put a lot of love into, alongside, of course, FDOT and a number of others, and that is the Rio Art Residency. So why don't you talk a bit about what the Rio Art Residency is, the milestone that's coming up, and then I'll get the screen share going.
So first of all, thank you. Thank you for all your kind words. And here's to many more years doing this, and hopefully adding value and, helping artists achieve what they deserve to achieve. So the Rio Art Residency is my passion project, is my it just gives me so much joy to do it. It's the it's blood, sweat, and tears, and it's worth everything, because it's a non-profit project, is where I've got a lot of the experience and the learning as well, the knowledge to be where I am now, being able to offer what I am offering now as well. And we're making plans for for the future, and I'm not quite ready yet to reveal what we're going to do. But for now, we had 2 editions of the Rio Art Residency. It started in 2024, and we had another one this year in the summer. And the idea of the Rio Art Residency is to really pull into the characteristics of the space where we operate, which is, this is to a huge degree an attention economy. And so I figured that there must be a way that I can not only offer opportunity for artists to go to a different place, learn from a different culture, or, immerse themselves for a little bit into that, into something completely different, but also to create some context and meaning and attention and all of those things around it. So in the way that I figured would be the most effective way of doing this was to get some a group of more established artists to join in with a group of up and coming artists. And so that way you would have the attention, because if someone like Brian Brinkman or Alien Queen is doing something, there's no doubt going to be a lot of attention, and others, and then the up and coming artists benefit from that attention. They benefit, and not only that, this is just one part. They also benefit from those artists' like experience and from their from everything that they built, from they learn from those artists. But it's a two-way street. I've heard from the feedback that I've had from more established artists that have joined is that they also learn a lot from it. They learn a lot from being with artists old and new, and seeing how they work and what they do and their skills and the experience that they bring, because everyone always brings some amount of experience and knowledge and skills to to these kinds of things. And it's been really, really fulfilling to be able to do this. I have to say, in no uncertain terms, that this the residency wouldn't happen without the support of our patrons. And we're very, very grateful to Benny Redbeard, and to Max Pretends, and to OG, and to all of our patrons who bought the Rio patron token in the lead up to the residency, for their support, for believing in what we're doing and what we're proposing to do, and our mission, so to speak. And part of this mission as well is to find up and coming Brazilian artists who aren't yet in the Web3 space, and to onboard them to Web3. And I hope everyone will agree that I've brought some gems so far. And especially this year, we've got Fotografia, and we've got Abeguar as well. And yeah, so this piece from Fotografia was the first piece that we sold so far, is the piece that was sold, that's going to be at the Super Rare exhibition on Friday, and at Offline Gallery. And it was collected by Mood Slime, who is a lovely sort of wholesome person and a great collector. And he's based in New York, and he's always at every event. And if anyone has not met him yet, please do say hi, figure out who he is. I hope you do all get to meet him. And I've got a funny anecdote, actually a lovely anecdote about this. So Fotografia, this artist, she's from Rocinha, which is the biggest urban favela in Latin America. And so that's where she lives. She still lives there. And this is what she photographs is her reality, is her culture, is truly beautiful. Her body of work is wonderful. Her work is on show in 2 places in France, in a group exhibition and a solo exhibition at the moment. So she is already an up-and-coming Brazilian artist in her own right, outside of the digital art space. So it was only right to kind of bring her here and expose everyone here in our world to her work. And so the anecdote is that when I first joined the space, and I was an artist, I was here as an artist. I'm still an artist, although I position myself more as a collector and a builder now. But I was selling my work back then, and I did this. I was doing some illustrations, all digital illustrations and all, and I did this digital illustration, which I'm very proud of, which is actually is a depiction of Rocinha, where Salem lives, where Fotografia lives. Her name is Salem, and she and it was completely a memory, and it was supposed to be a little bit dreamlike, and but everyone who knows Rocinha and looks at it recognizes it as being that place. And that piece was collected by Mood Slime, back then. And it was, and I even sent him a print, and he's got it. He hung it on his office, and and so it's a kind of a lovely kind of full circle moment where I bring this artist, and it's her first sale in on the blockchain, and it's going to make a huge difference to her career. I know it is, because I think it's only going to things are only going to go upwards from here for her, because she's truly wonderful. And so it's just really great that that it happened this way, and it was collected by Mood Slime, the first piece to be collected ahead of the exhibition, and it's just wonderful. And we've got Beisu, who's another Brazilian artist who's fantastic, and he's been in the space for a little while now, I think since 2021, and his illustrations are beautiful, and he's got this very unique way of creating, of drawing, and he takes inspiration from woodcut prints from the northeast of Brazil. If anyone hasn't seen those yet, I urge you to go and have a look. They are traditional, sort of traditional art form that developed in the early 1900s, when people used to go around and create little booklets with poetry, and they made the art for the booklets, for the cover art, using woodcut prints, and it became a real kind of recognizable kind of art form from the northeast of Brazil, and the themes and everything. And Beisu is very good at kind of bringing those themes into his work here that he does, this digital sort of practice. So yeah, it's lovely. And this piece, I love this piece, the colors, and you can see Christ the Redeemer there, and you can see, like, it's a very lovely, elegant way of showing Rio, I think. And very, I think he is great, and his work is fantastic. And the other Brazilian artist I mentioned, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, so Selkie, give us what the show is moving at lightning speed today. Obviously, we have three segments, which is one more than maybe a normal show.
Yeah.
So I want you to give us one more and then refresh us. We have Ed Balloon, the great Ed Balloon, backstage. Going to welcome him in just 2 minutes here. Give us one more artist that comes to mind, and maybe you were just about to lead into that anyway. And then, of course, give us the what and the when as to how this comes to Offline Gallery and what people can expect from that side. And again, we'll leave people. I was cycling through photos of course, Brian Brinkman, who's in here with us. Post Wook was in those photos. Saw Dave Krugman taking a bit of a selfie in a mirror, and so many others, that Nishant, and on and on and on. But please, Selkie, give us one more and then prep us on the relevant dates and times.
Okay, I'm going to be cheeky, and I'm going to give you two more. So I was going to talk about Abegua, who is the other Brazilian artist, who is from Rocinha as well. And he is a fashion designer. And so that, as you can see, that's an AI piece. But the jeans, the denim on that piece, it's a physical piece that he painted on. He did the designs, he sewed on it, and he created it. Exists, it's going to be on display alongside this digital piece. And then he created this kind of AI visualization with this character, which he describes. And I think that's beautiful, because that's what he wants to do as a fashion designer, to marry the physical, because what you design in fashion is physical, with the digital, which is like how you display it, how you disseminate it. And the other artist I want to talk about, and I'm sorry I can't talk about more, but I wanted to talk about Mariah, because she's great. She's so thoughtful. She's got a very academic approach, but in a very sophisticated, elegant way. You can see it through her art, and what all the thought process that leads to her creating beautiful, beautiful art. There is so much depth and meaning to everything she does. Nothing is by chance. Nothing is just everything has intention and purpose, and exploration and learning behind what she does. And all the pieces she created during the residency have that thoughtful kind of process behind them. And I was very proud to work with her and have her, all of them. But as I just wanted to kind of, since I can talk about her very quickly, I just wanted to talk about just that. And so I just want to say all the artists were fantastic to work with, and they are fantastic to work with. They are amazing, talented artists, very dedicated, and all their works created these works that we selected created at the residency will be on show on Friday, September 26th at Offline Gallery. There is an RSVP link if you go to the Super Rare website and click on the catalog, for anyone who's in New York who's able to make it. And it's going to be from 7 till 9 p.m. I want to say. I think there is
Yep.
I don't know if
7 to
that's
9.
right. It's right there. And I hope to see a lot of people there. And I hope everyone enjoys the artworks. We've got a surprise. Photographer here has a second piece that we haven't showed yet, and it's going to be shown in a special way alongside a print of the photo that's just sold earlier this week. So that's that. So thank you for having me. Thank you for, I know I appreciate everything's a little squeezed. Thank you for having me. And I just wanted to say, I know I can't see Ed, but like, hi Ed, I love him.
Hey, let's do it. Let's break all the rules. Here we go. There it is.
Yay.
There's Ed Balloon.
Hi.
Hi Ed. I
I was
met
like,
Ed in
oh,
Lisbon, and it's so great.
I was like,
I love
oh,
you, Ed.
I don't want to cut off a segment. I was like really feeling it. Thank you so much. You're such a sweetheart. And I just love everything that you're doing, and it's just you are amazing, and I honestly am thankful for your presence. It takes a lot for people to like put themselves in roles to want to curate and get artists together. It's a lot of willpower. It's a lot of fighting back and a lot of making noise. And so I'm honored that you're in this space and you're doing it, and I'm just thankful. And I was just hearing you and I was like, so you're very necessary, and I just hope that you know that.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate you.
And I mean, I feel like you could just host it from here. I'll go take a walk. That was beautiful. I mean,
Oh,
and
no.
I think, and we all agree that sentiment is very felt for Selkie. So I appreciate you putting it like that.
Yeah, yeah. I just want like everywhere I go, she purposely puts herself in spaces to make noise, and letting everyone know what she's doing and how she's doing it and where she's going. And I didn't hear about Rio, this residency until like maybe well last year, because a lot of my friends were in it, but it was also just like then I saw the person who was actually doing it. I'm like, wow, like she's been out here like really getting people. And then this year I think it's even bigger, so it's only been going getting bigger ever since. So shout out to you for like really going in.
Thank you.
Selkie,
Appreciate it.
positive presence since 2022. Here for it as a collector, an artist advocate, and so much more. Big career move for you, taking a step in. Congrats on your work with Apocalypse. Can't wait to hear and see more about that. Rio Art Residency Friday. Just make a move, Selkie. We appreciate you. I'm sure this won't be the last time on the show. So be well, and we'll see you in a few days.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me share the screen with Ed.
Oh,
Of
you're
course.
amazing.
And
Thank you for letting me share the screen with you.
have a lovely rest of the show. I'll listen in.
Sounds great. Bye, Selkie.
Bye bye.
Ed Balloon.
Hi.
How are you,
Again.
sir?
I'm okay. How are you? I feel like I've
Great,
seen
man.
you way more than I've usually see you. Usually I see you like once out of the blue moon. And then, with everything that's been happening in NYC, and I've been seeing you quite often. So it's good.
It's a positive change. We
Yeah.
always love to see a balloon. Alpha Centauri Kid at Station 3, right? That
Yeah.
was a good one. Got to
Yeah.
give that balloon a hug. Always a privilege.
Always. Always a privilege to get a hug from RD. Thank you, man, for letting me be on the show. I heard the show, the show is famous. I don't know if I'm famous on it, but I think it's one of the best shows that that I would say is true to the core, and it really lets artists be artists and we get to talk about our art. Kind of miss this. So when I heard that, this was happening, I was like, I gotta get on the damn show.
Am I saying it? It's the damn show, right?
It's the damn show.
The damn show.
It was overdue. I mean, we at this point, I feel like we've been in each other's orbit for how many years, Ed? 4 solid, right? It has to be.
For solid. And you were out here doing your threads, and we were all like, "Yeah, RD, keep talking and keep threading." And then you started doing your pod. You always do your show, your spaces, but it's good to like see how you've also just transformed the show and like it actually has a name and all these things and yeah, man. It's at the end of the day, I think at the core is just for it's pro artists and it's space and currently in the space right now where it seems like we're finding our niche, our niches. It's good to see this here, out here, pushing us up, because we need that. We need that. I ain't gonna lie. As artists, we need to have people who are in our corner being loud as ever. So
There's a lot to do, Ed. There's a lot. I feel like there's so much more to do. So much more to do. So
I
listen,
feel like it's so much. We haven't even touched the surface.
so let's talk. I want to hear your take. So we mentioned, hey, we've been in each other's orbit 4 solid years. We've seen a lot, right? Been
Yeah,
seeing Ed do your thing, release various artworks, collections. I mean, I even reflect very fondly being able to see you perform live at NFTC. Remember NFTC
yeah.
2022 in the movie theater?
I
Fun
do.
times.
It's an
So
incredible time. Uh, yeah, I really missed that. I missed that time, which is crazy because I was also fighting during that time too. But sometimes you don't know which like the privileges you have until they're gone. So,
So where are
um,
we now? Where are we now? Right? Take us into your mind now as you sit as you look at all of this in 2020, late 2025. We're transitioning into the fall season. What's on your mind?
yeah. So, I mean, as an artist who has been in the space for quite some time, and I've been an artist for a good amount of my life, career, I would say. Um, what I've noticed is, especially in the space coming right now, I just find I have this ability to want to tap into mediums that are not trending. And what does that even mean? It's always the things that I feel like I don't, if you know me already, if you've been here for quite some time, I don't like boxes. I think a lot of my life I've always been forced to be restricted or forced to be a certain type of way. And I'm too I don't know if this comes off as conceited, but I would say God has given me the understanding that I'm just too big for that. And but I do love seeing artists and I love seeing art. But I don't like it when people limit art. And I think from 2020 one, when it came to being this space of, oh, this is new to us, show us everything. At least that's when I came in. I was like, yeah, everything. Um, it's now as if there's certain things that people are just only focusing on. And I don't like that. I don't think art should only be restricted to one thing. Art is not that way. And so I am someone who's always trying to figure out ways to make it makes sense using the tech when I'm using other mediums. So I've done music. I'm of course I'm a musician, so I'm big on that. But I'm also big on film. I'm big in animation. I'm big on these things that I really feel like um, don't have a full or a loud voice um in the tech that we're using, but also outside of the space. I think currently right now where we are is in 2021 it was a space of, okay, this is new to us and we still have the outside space. But we're gonna try it here and we're gonna figure this out. And then after all the things, the shifts and people leaving and all these things, we are now in the space too, and then also the market changing as well, whether inside or outside the space as well. In industries, we are now like, oh, okay, as artists, we just have to figure out like what do we, at least for me, like what do I want to use to get my voice out? And what challenges am I willing to fight currently? Um, and I think one thing that I am willing to fight is the fact that outside of this space, the industries, don't care about art whatsoever. It's very difficult for artists, especially musicians. And so my whole thing has been like, well, if I'm a musician and I'm in Web3 and I see the tech and I see the possibilities of these things, as well as film and all these other things, how can I be able to use this tech and find ways to do it? And so a lot of me has been questioning, learning, using AI to, figure out certain things if I need to do certain things to like AI as a tool. Um, but it's been this thing of really challenging myself as an artist while using the tech that I feel like I've always been challenging myself, but I haven't really found myself in this space. And it also brings me to like the project that I'm doing, which is I haven't fully put the title out yet, but it's more of a performance piece, and it requires it I am forcing all the things in it with music and dance and film. I want this to be something that all these it really taps in all the mediums. And why is that? Is because I just feel like there shouldn't be a limit to art. And as art lovers who are in this space, we should understand that. Um, and I also feel like that's something that we should be able to like really nurture, so it can nourish in this space. It's something that I just want to continue want to do. It feeds me, and I hope that it also feeds the ecosystem.
Tell us more. Well, you probably can't tell us certain things yet, but
Yeah.
what can you tell us in terms of is this like a fall type situation? Should we be keeping our eyes out for it, or
So
give that a little more time?
so currently right now, I did a drop. Shout out to the people who were able to collect already. We still have one edition left.
Okay,
And
let's get that up on screen, shall we? Let's do that. Go ahead. Sorry, keep
yeah,
going. I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get it. I'm
And
gonna get the screen share.
it was something that I did. I actually shot it in Chile. So there's a lot of things I did, right? I was like, okay, I need to do something that's going to challenge me a little bit more. Um, and I really want to showcase mediums that people are not, that people just seem to dismiss. Whether it's music, I'm always, in that. So that's one. But also dance. I feel like dance is something that's always dismissed as well. So I actually teamed up with Nicholas. He's an incredible dancer and choreographer in this space. He's currently in Chile. And so I was like, I really want to work with him. So I decided to go all the way to Chile and work with him. And not only did I work with him, but I worked with his whole team. And we were able to create this film. Um, well, parts of it, most of it, in Chile, and that took about I would say 3 weeks that we did it. But it was I would say it was very. I'm still it's a lot. I am someone who was like, okay, we got to get this right. But I would say overall the experience was something. I was very thankful for that experience and very grateful because I would not have been able to have that if it wasn't for Web3. I would have been able to experience like finding somebody who is an incredible dancer and working with him. I also think that Nico he's been in this space for some time too, and he's also someone who's also pushing this space forward and as a dancer. So it was only it only made sense for me to want to team up with someone who's also in Web3 versus going to someone else or whatever, or just do it by myself. And saying, hey, you know what? Let me just do this. And I really want to work with somebody who was in this space, who also is in a medium that I'm like, yeah, this also deserves to be loud. Like we need to make noise around this as well. So that was that. In regards of the film, I really want to. It's so yeah, there's a it's I made we made a trailer out of it, and I didn't even put the music in. We used a different type of music that will actually be on the film, but it really is. I would say it will be talking about, or I will be trying to display our relationship with the internet, our relationship with social media, and not so much only the relationship as um, regular people using it, but also as from the artist's perspective. I think a lot of times, especially of this in this era, we have kind of forgot. Um, or probably not. We're just so used to it. We've kind of dismissed how the relationship between the artist and social media has been, right? We have algorithms that we have to deal with. We have likes that we have to get to. We have these things that we have to do in order for us to be able to prosper within the industries that we are in. And it almost comes off as what makes sense. What is the art? Is the art first? Is that priority, or is everything else? Um, and and it's a really difficult conversation because we are now in this era where it's like, yeah, I have access to all these things and all these people, but you know, by a click of a switch, it could be gone, right? You have these things where it's like, oh, you're shadow banned now. So what does that mean? And and then it also becomes this thing where artists start to feel like they're not um, good enough. And then you have you have these things going through the head, like I'm not good enough now, and it's all these things going through that all these conflicts that they're having internally, while trying to be this artist, and then the art, instead of people just focus on the art, it becomes like kind of the back burner, and it's now everything else. And so I kind of wanted to just talk about that through performance art, and I wanted to showcase that. And I wanted to really put performance art through that as well. I use that lens to be able to showcase and voice the difficulties of being an artist in the current day. So that's a little bit of what we will be talking about in this film.
I love so Ed, do you feel so something you led with a little bit earlier is this you can't be put in a box. You do not like being put in a box. And so you're sort of perceptive about that, I imagine, right? Right. When you feel like that's happening, you see it for what it is and sort of move beyond that. Do you think that protects you in a way from a lot of the things that you're mentioning relative the social landscape and algorithms and AI tool? Like a lot of that is designed to put a
Yeah,
sort of box around the participants within that ecosystem.
yeah, and I also do think I do think that I'm probably different from a lot of artists. Um, and how I got this way wasn't so much of me trying to be, oh yeah, I want to, not be in a box. I did try to be in boxes. I was like, you know what, maybe I need to just be this and stick, and it didn't work. It didn't, because I think for me as an artist, and I can only speak from my experiences, I don't like when I have certain stories, when I have something to say, sometimes it doesn't work through music only. Like that's how Ed Be the Puppet came about. I was not able to make music. I just didn't have there was this, I want to say it was boredom, but it was this forceful thing of like forceful, it was me forcing music out. And I was like, this is not speaking to me. And that never happened. I was always like, yeah, yeah. And it never happened. And I came to the point where I was like, oh, maybe we should make something that will allow me to say the things that I want to say. And that's how Ed Be the Puppet came about. And it was that when I was like, okay, I need to allow myself to really feel and to really try things and challenge myself versus getting stuck just because, oh, I'm told, or I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And I do feel like, and I do think it makes sense when whether you want to say, like when it comes to like business or logistics, right? It's just like, oh yeah, well, this has been good. Why would you want to drift or do anything else? But I do think sometimes um, not allowing yourself to try things. I think as humans, I don't know. I just feel like as humans, there should be more to us. And it doesn't always have to be like I'm an artist or whatever, but there should be more to us. And there should be other things that you are trying to pour out into this world. And and I just feel like um when it comes to me, I do know that I there is a privilege in that of just being able to say, you know what, I am not going to do it this time. But I also think sometimes it can come off as like a cost to some people. People a little bit too like, oh wait, why is he doing this now? Or wait, why is he doing this? Like when I went from doing the Ed B, my doing my job with the Ed ones, and then I did a generative art piece with um I'm talking about, that displayed locks and braids, right? There are things where, and that was generative code, right? Totally different. totally different. But I am also just like, I'm not one dimensional. I'm not one type of thing. And I think for me, especially in this space, that is the most important thing. I would say maybe the work is quote unquote inconsistent. To me, it's not, because like at the end of the day, you're just getting a story of me, and the story does not stop at this. It continues to grow, and that is the most important thing. And it's more about like, oh, you're seeing Ed at this place now. You're seeing Ed here, or maybe Ed wants to go back to let you know like how this loops. Um, but but some people aren't able to get that yet. They're not able to grasp that yet. Sometimes it takes some time. And so I think for me, I'm really more so of pushing this, and I've always been this way of pushing this narrative where you should just love the message. You should love the reason what's behind it. You should love, of course, the art. If it connects, it connects. But the last thing you would want is for someone to ever like try to box themselves because it works with you. Because that kind of, I think that stunts growth, and I don't like stunting growth. I think that, if I'm here on this earth, I'm always continuously to grow and change, and I would be remiss if that does not show in my work.
It's interesting to hear you say, you mentioned that possible thought. Someone might think your work is inconsistent, right? If they're seeing this here or that there. To me, if someone were to ask, how would you describe Ed Balloon? I think the first thing I might tell them is Ed to me is an energy. And I think your energy is
Oh, I like that. Thanks.
I think it's
Thank
very
you.
consistent when you look at it through that lens. I guess I'm usually a people first or artist first person, right? I really like to try to understand the individual. Well, of course, through my lens, but I like to understand the individual. To me, you are an energy, Ed, and I think quite a powerful one at that.
Oh man, thank you, and I appreciate that, and I take that in. I agree. I think I am that, and more. I feel like it is this thing where I will walk into places and people are like, "Man, I didn't know you were like this," or whatever. And then, but it also brings them. It helps them understand my work a little bit more. And I think for me, sometimes too, having conversations with people is something that helps people understand me and understand my work. I think it's probably why I'm very loud. Not so much like, yeah, I need you to know who I am, but it's more about like, oh, I have something to say. And 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 I think people also are very aware that, oh, Ed has something to say. And I do. I have something to say, and I really do want that to be, to also come in, for it to make sense when it comes to my work, that you are aware that Ed is trying to say something, even if you don't get it or whatever, like, or it doesn't make like you are aware that Ed is trying to say something. And maybe that is the thing that you are trying to understand. Like maybe that's something that you would want to learn. Like, what is Ed trying to say in this piece? Because I think that's kind of how I show up. I have something to say. And I'm not saying that everything I have to say is always going to be right, but I do want to have a conversation. And I care about dialogue, and I care about honesty, and I care about, the world and how people are treated and all these other things. But yeah, you saying I'm the energy. I would take that. I enjoy that. I actually I agree.
Let's go. Let's go. And by the way, Swati in here, Swati said Ed is so cool. Gives the best hug. Met him at NorCal's breakfast in New York during NFT NYC.
Oh, yes.
The virtual hug.
I appreciate it.
So
Yeah, sorry about that.
no, no, no. So
No, yeah, I appreciate that NorCal. The NorCal, was it a brunch? It was something. It was actually, they barely had any vegan food. I hope NorCal safe. He's here, whatever. But they barely had vegan food, but I was able to get an avocado toast, and it was actually amazing. So yeah, I don't know. And anyone else was there was really cool. It was a really good. I actually really enjoyed NFT NYC this year. Surprisingly, I didn't think I was gonna like it, but it was really good.
that's
Shock.
I came at the very last minute. The very last minute. I think I caught it on technically the day after, but hey, I mean, some
Oh
people were still around, so it was what
yeah,
it was.
yeah,
And NorCal guy now known, like his trademark is NorCal biscuits. He's just
yeah. Dan, he made like, and I'm always trying to tell him to make vegan biscuits.
mhm.
And He usually does. Well, he did one time, and crazy enough, no one is vegan in Web3, but somehow, you know, when it comes to no cause vegan biscuits and he makes them, everyone's vegan, and they ate all the biscuits, and I wasn't able to get biscuits. And then he hasn't made them ever since. So I have to wait for him to decide to make some vegan biscuits. So I can, actually be a judge and say, oh yeah, no cow's biscuits are amazing. But until then, I am, an op, and I'm hating against no cow until I get my vegan biscuits.
So Ed, you and I, but we share torturous NorCal biscuit stories, because the only time I had the honor of a biscuit, I was at, oh geez, this is a Florida. This is one of the Miami Art Basels of let's say
Same.
two.
That was
Okay.
my issue.
So I went and I was leaving, and he said, listen, this is a bad batch. Like he was waiting for an ingredient to be delivered. He's like, this is a bad batch. But I had a chance to try one. It wasn't that bad. So I got the bad batch of biscuits. I thought it was still pretty decent, but I have not tried a full strength NorCal Guy biscuit.
Wait, I have to. I just got a text message. Thank you, X. I'm sorry. Okay, there's 5 of us. There we go. Thank you, X is a vegan. He's been a vegan. Let me stop. He actually is one of the best because he always looks out for me. And he always, like, especially for, like, at the same, whether it's the same conference or event, he's like, yo, there's some vegan food over here, whatever. So shout out to Thank You, X. I'm sorry. I was the only, there's no one else in Web3, and that's actually a lie. There's a few of us. There's a few. But I said it was a generalization, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't that deep. But yes. NorCal, stop, treating the people that love you terribly, you know. Um, but RD, you probably left, and then he made the new batch. That was what
That's
happened.
what that's what I heard. I heard they were glorious, and I missed
And then
out.
I came, and I was too late, and so I missed my vegan batch, and so I got like a crumb. He made me some Beyond Meat sausages or whatever, but still, I came for the biscuits.
I'm glad we have this in common. I'm glad
Yeah,
we have this common ground of NorCal
I'm
biscuits.
glad,
Who knew?
that's why you gotta be loud and say things, because there's always gonna be someone saying, hey, I had the same experience. And that's how you get people together. I mean, we've been cool since though, but I love when people hate on NoCal. It's something. I'm kidding. NoCal's one of the best people in the space.
Definitely agree with that statement. He one of the good ones for sure. Ed, take us into the fall. So fall sounds like we have something to look forward to. Sounds like we
Yeah,
have something to look out for.
so in regards to fall, this is where it's like so it's a film.
Mhm.
So in regards of fall, in regard, you have a date, and depending on if it makes it to that date, then that's, then it works out. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And when it comes to, like, editing, and adding more material or things that you maybe reshooting some things or whatever, you just want to make sure that it's on point. So my technicality is maybe late fall, winter,
Mhm.
but that is just a date that I'm putting out there in hopes that it works out. Um, I also have something else in regards to Ed Be the Puppet, but I can't talk about that either because I'm waiting on a certain date for that. I know this sucks. I know it sucks, but I think it's better to be honest. I also am someone who is like, I do things that, when it comes to creating, I create, and then I also have this process where I'm like, oh, can this be seen or shown somewhere else? Take that however you want. But and so you can only, in regards of doing that, you have to do certain things to get it there. And the last thing I would want is for people to, like, oh, this is supposed to happen, and it doesn't happen. So you have to just be patient. And so I just ask you to be patient with me, but just know that I am always working and cooking and doing things. I am, though, one thing is new, is that I can actually say, I actually tweeted out. I just made an account with the 6'2". Sorry, see, this is where I get the numbers messed up. 6259,
Six
6529.
five 2 9. There you go. There you go.
They probably already canceled me. 6529 ecosystem, which is actually pretty cool. I came across a few people who were in the on the platform, and they told me to, like, make an account and stuff. And yeah, it's actually, something that I'm learning, and a few artists that I know are already on it, so that's pretty cool. Shout out to Phil. I think Phil is on there too. He actually has something going on with Transient soon too, so shout out to him. Yeah, I think he actually was one of the artists that did a drop on that platform. But like, yeah, I'm on that, and I will be possibly doing something as well very, very soon. So maybe that actually is the fall.
Okay. Okay. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there. You just have to promise when you get the big announcement ready, just come spend a little more time with us when the moment is right. When the moment is right.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big moment was because so I did do the drop, and that was something that was kind of big, but RD, you're just so busy. Like, yeah, you're famous.
No, we
So
need to
like,
get synced in. Wait.
yeah.
Our levels of fame are not the same. Ed Balloon is
You're just so
definitely.
famous. I was like, hey, I don't know. I think I should, but thankfully, it worked out. And I just wanted to be on here anyway. I'm just like, man, I really want to be on this. I actually love the whole thing it's very seamless, and it was very easy to get on. So thank you for also taking this to the next level. Maybe the tech is there now, but I haven't had an experience like this as of yet. So that's good. But yeah, like, yeah, the trailer was actually a big thing for me, and it's still a big thing for me because I don't think I've ever done something of this magnitude, I would say, yet. That's out there in Web3. And it really showcases dance. And I just really wanted to showcase that a lot. And I was really happy to see a lot of love getting from it, and people that collected Shikai to NorCal, AP, just people, and many others. Mixed, so many people who were like in Austin, like just so many people who were like out there, like, oh, this is really amazing. And very thankful for that because I think that's another thing too, when you put things out and you're like, okay, I don't see anything else that's like this really. So I don't really have an example to go off of. And there is it's like a niche in a niche. Good luck, right? And you just have to believe and just be confident. Well, at the end of the day, I'm an artist. And I always have to tell myself too that and then I told this to other artists as well that sometimes the audience isn't here. Doesn't mean you should stop, and doesn't mean you should try to conform or not be who you are. You just have to own that, and it is very difficult and it's very challenging. Something it's very hard for me because like a lot of times I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this and maybe I should do that, and I have people who are in this space who love to you know I would say humble me and confront me and say, no, that's not what you're about. And it's really good to have those people who are like, put you back in line. Because I think a lot of times with this space, you can like try to see yourself fall into other places. So with that being said, of my rant, which was like maybe the 10th rant that I went on this nice, awesome space, is that fall, I am looking forward to possibly dropping on 6259 platform.
Six five
And
six five two
six
nine.
five two nine
We're
six
just
five
gonna
two nine.
keep drilling it.
Damn. Yeah,
By
like
the time you leave the show, Ed, you're gonna have this ingrained.
I just want to say that the awesome people. But like, yeah, it's very like 6529. There we go. Got it. Um, will be a place that I will most likely do something in the coming future while also
Oh, is he
while
back?
also
He's
start
back.
yeah, while also still working on a film that I'm doing.
I mean, I can't wait to see what you do on the platform. I mean, speaking of people doing interesting things, maybe a bit differently. 6529, I think, really pushing some interesting decentralized rails out there, and so I
Yeah.
feel like in some ways that's a match made in heaven, Ed.
Yeah, I don't know 6529. I actually thought 6529 was like a platform, and then I found out it was a person too.
It's
So
both, yeah.
if you're watching, hi,
I never, but I know like people on the team like Basupyum and stuff, and so I was like, okay. Um, but like yeah, there might be something also kind of different with that. I just don't expect expect something just know that I'm gonna make a something that will be different. At least till yeah, coming right now it is different. The idea that I do have. And it's not because I want to be different, whatever, but it's also something where I'm like, hey, I want to bring this to the forefront. And so take that as you will.
I think it's a good match, man. I'm excited about that. I think you're going to bring a lot to the table there. And I think in that strange way, I think you're very aligned in that way. I think one of the most outside the box builders in the entire space, I would say, in my opinion, seeing where they're pushing towards, very, very interesting. And of course,
It's something I just came across. I didn't really know it was there, and they've been here for quite some time. And but I have a few artist friends who've done drops. Ayla, I just found out, which is crazy. And Brian.
yeah.
Brian's always creating though, so I'm always like, you have to really like, you know. So I didn't really know. But then also Phil. So it's incredible that I already have like artists that I know who've done drops. Where I can ask them for advice, because it's like its whole ecosystem, like its own world. That's also something that I didn't really know about either. I'm like, oh, it's like a whole thing, like it's like its own
Yep.
Discord too. It's crazy. It's cool.
Yeah.
They clearly have
cool.
been building this whole time, like
I loved one of the longest views in the room, right? Just building this new, different, interesting thing that now is going through these points of reaching sort of the next level of critical mass, right? You just feel more and more people gravitating towards it. So I quite like that process. By the way, Brian Brinkman still in here says, quote, "I live for Ed's praise."
yeah, because Brian loves stabbing me with his pins. So I know he comes off as lovable, but watch out. He has these pins that he loves to give people, and he loves stabbing them. At least he stabs me quite some time with those pins that he gives out. Now, so
Brian
I love
he has
Brian.
an edge to him.
I love Brian, and he's I would say one of the best artists in the space. Because he's very patient with people. I would say me, because if you know me, I'm very like and he's very like, hey Ed, it doesn't have to be that way, and so I appreciate a lot of artists' patience with me. Thank you, X, Brian, very few people, Trish, a lot of people who are just like, hey Ed, chill out, and so and then there's also people like Benny who love to also calm me down as well.
All sorts
But
of great people. Brian and Ryan and Benny, all sorts of great people.
Yeah. They're all good.
Ed Balloon, any last words before we get out of here for today's damn show? Thank you for closing this one out with me.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me close out. Shout out to the artists that were and curators that were above me. Shout out to the show. Phil, I heard Phil is doing a drop. Check out Phil's drop. That will be on Transient. Shout out to the artists who are out here in the space every day. It's very difficult, but just know that you are seen and you are appreciated. Shout out to these algorithms that are messing up. I also understand that the algorithms, I don't know what's going on, but they're not as easy as they used to be, or they're not as easy for us to use. And so that's another thing. And yeah, I just wanna say continue, want to keep going, and y'all we just gotta keep going. It's very difficult and very easy to say, but we just have to keep going. And that's it. Keep performance art also at the front. We also deserve to be out there as well. So that's it.
Keep going. Ed, thank you for your energy. Thank you for sharing your voice. And we have some things to look forward to. We have some potential collaborations. We have a milestone. You said maybe late fall, winter. We shall see. It'll be on your timeline. But when the time does come, please do come by.
Yes. We'll let you know. We'll let you know. Thank you so much. Just wanted to get up here to let you know about the announcement of the announcement.
And the edition we shared and showed earlier, you said one remaining?
There's one more left. There's one more left.
Let's go, iBalloon.
All
All right, man. We'll do this again soon. Take care, my friend. All right, everybody. That was fun. This was a wild show. We had a fire alarm in here. We had all sorts of things happen today. Alex with a lisp. Aleqth on as the first segment. Selkie coming in as the second segment. Ed Balloon shutting it down with me today. Three of my favorite individuals across the space. As we do shut down today, let me talk about some of the people that make this whole show possible. We talked a lot of Super Rare today. Obviously, this is presented with 24 Hours of Art that we do every single day alongside Justin Wetch on the art side as well. Super Rare that we talked about several different times today. And Powered by Gandhi. There they are. Liquidity Marketplace, Liquidity Stack for art, and a lot more. And this is the fun note. I talked about this in the 24 Hours of Art Telegram. It was just a fun moment. Ethereum directly shared this out. It was their purchase bundler feature set that they've released, essentially allowing it's a liquidity marketplace, liquidity tools. It's another huge liquidity tool, allows somebody to not necessarily have to pull all of their ETH in one place. They can keep it staked, keep it elsewhere if they want to, and they can pull a piece of their ETH in liquidity with outstanding loan offers, combine the two, and then seamlessly buy artworks on the other side of it. So, continually working to make things easier and easier and easier for participants of the ecosystem. And it's a critical feature set. It's an important thing that they're bringing to the table here. Let's take a step back. This was the first damn show of the week. That's right. I said this is the first damn show of the week because we have another damn show, a second show this week, a special one that's going to be held on this Wednesday. So just 2 days from now. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a fun one, a different one. I think a very interesting one. So again, stay tuned. I'm going to pull the Ed cliffhanger. He gave us a cliffhanger on a couple things in his world, and we'll wait another moment to make that show announcement. But that's going to be on Wednesday. We also have a big feature story this week, so stay tuned there. So kind of two things to stay tuned for in the 24 hours of our ecosystem. One more damn show on Wednesday, and then one more feature, just putting things together, putting some odds and ends together for that. Very, very excited for it. The product of time with two very special individuals. You will recognize them both and will all make sense when the time comes. Can't wait to release that. Also taking place this week. So a lot going on this week. Listen, hey, hang in there on the other side. I know we had a little bit of a crypto dip this morning. It's obviously been an extremely slow month in and around digital art, but it was a really strong summer, like a better summer than I think any of us could have anticipated. And so listen, if we have to take a slow September on the back of that, I think odds wise, if you're a betting man or woman, I think it's still going to be a good fall. If macro and crypto can figure itself out heading into the months of October and November, traditionally strong months, again, I think probabilistically still looks good. Hang in there. In Ed's words, keep going. And I think we have a lot to look forward to. All right, my friends, thank you for being here. Digital Art Market Show. I'm RD. We'll see you on Wednesday.